Welcome to the Colors of Gaming. I'm Red,
And I'm Blue.
and we're here to talk about Untitled Goose Game.
So, Untitled Goose Game is kind of like an open world. It's open enough to where you don't feel like the boundaries are really there, and you're just left to figure out what the goal is and what you can do and what you can't do.
Yeah, you have like this checklist that tells you like your basic goals, and you can kind of just run around and terrorize these people of this town, right?
Which, as far as the controls and your capabilities go, it's pretty much just like a goose simulator. Anything a goose can do, you can pretty much do. So for those of you out there who have had wild fantasies of wanting to be a goose, this would be the perfect one for you. Feel like throwing some poor guy's keys in the lake? This is the game for you.
The controls are really cool. It actually feels really good. Like it feels like what you would imagine a goose to be, a little awkward, but it's not anything that's too crazy. You can like flap your wings, you can honk, you can grab things with your beak. It's all really basic controls. All right, Blue, so what did you think of this game?
I thought it was fairly enjoyable at the beginning. It did get repeating after a while, but I'd like to attribute it to a fun-sized candy bar. It's not as good as you thought it was going to be, but it's not terrible.
Yeah, I could see that. It's not a very long game, but I would agree with you that after the first area, it gets a little tiring. Personally, it's not my favorite thing. I didn't really get too into it. I didn't find it that funny. I know that a lot of people out there think that this is like the funniest game ever. For some reason, it just didn't click with me.
I mean, it was humorous at first, but then it just kind of got distasteful after a while, and I felt like I had more fun, or at least the humor lasted a bit longer with Goat Simulator than it did with Untitled Goose Game.
Goat Simulator is kind of an interesting comparison to this game because it kind of feels the same, where you just kind of are put into this world and you just goof around. If I'm honest, it feels like both games were kind of made to be online, to be made videos of, for people to do Twitch on, because the second time I played it, which I played this twice, Blue was here with me. If I'm honest, I had a lot more fun, and it was more because I was yelling things and kind of goofing around while he was here and just making it fun for both me and him. But while I was alone, it just wasn't really fun. It wasn't interesting. As far as gameplay mechanics go, there's not really much challenge. I think a lot of people say that this is a stealth game, which I don't know how you feel about that.
I don't feel it's a stealth game at all, just because in most stealth games, if you get caught, there are severe penalties that follow with it. To where with Untitled Goose Game, the adult or whoever just chases you for a couple feet, then goes back to doing what they were doing.
Yeah, and I think for a game that is meant for younger people, if that's what this is for, then I think it's really good for that. And when I say younger, maybe like 12 years old and younger.
I would say our preteen audience, or someone that's wanting to get into video games. A game like this, I would say, would be a good starting point.
I would agree with that. Would you say that if the penalties were worse when you got caught, if there was more of a punishment, would this be more fun for you?
I would say so, yeah, because with the penalties of getting spotted, it gives you more of a reason to not get spotted, and in turn, it would give it more of a challenge and have more at risk.
See, in my opinion as well, I actually think that would make the game more funny.
Yeah, I just feel like they could have done a whole lot more with it. Like when a character chases you with a broom, for example, instead of just chasing you with it, if you got caught, if she would have hit you with it and you bounced back way off the map to maybe close to where you started, then I'd feel like that'd be a good amount of challenge and incentive to not get caught or spotted.
I think that my main issue with this game is that the main appeal is to try and get you to feel like you're being a prankster. My issue with that is because of the lack of stakes, the lack of punishment, you don't get that feeling. I remember when I was younger, running around doorbell ditching, it was always fun that you might get caught and you might get in trouble. And as a kid, that's a huge deal. With Untitled Goose Game, there's like no penalty at all. They just push you away. And I think it just creates kind of a frustrating gaming experience rather than me feeling like I'm sneaking around making these goofy pranks happen.
Yeah, there's no risk or reward to the game, and there's not a real reason to play it again. I feel like once you play it once, you've seen all the game is and all the game has to offer.
So there is extra challenges after you beat the game. I wasn't even wanting to continue.
Yeah, because even though a lot of the challenges were technically different, they all felt the same. Take this item, grab this thing, put this item in front of this person. They're all the same.
Before we move on to recommendations and to spoilers, I just want to ask, because we've kind of been bagging on the game a little bit, is there any positives to the game?
I feel like anyone can pick up and play it. I would say it was very relaxing to play. I didn't have to really give like 100% effort and focus. I could just sit down, pop it in, and just relax and have a good time with it.
It is a very relaxing playthrough. If you're having a stressful day, it's really nice to just pop in, terrorize some people, take it out on them, I suppose. The other thing that I would say with this game is that it looks really good. I think that the little cartoons are beautiful. The way that they're animated is great. And it's really interesting how none of these people have a facial expression, but you can still kind of tell how they're feeling just from the body language. I really like that. Another thing about the goose, like we mentioned before, was it just controls really well. It feels like a goose. But as far as that goes, that's kind of all I can say about the positives, for me at least. Would you recommend this game?
I would recommend it for people that are wanting something different or wanting a break from some of the AAA titles or some of the main games they're playing at the moment. The price point that it's at, I would probably go with something along the lines like of Sonic Mania, where you really get the bang for your buck, but at the same time, I don't feel you'd be too disappointed with Untitled Goose Game either.
I think if you have like a younger kid that wants to get into games, or maybe you just want a really casual experience, $20 isn't terrible. Keep in mind that you're paying $20 for like 2 hours of gameplay. That's not including the extra stuff at the end, which we haven't really even touched on. It does have this quirky kind of sense of humor, and if you think that's funny, that's awesome. That's great. More power to you. Go buy it. But for me personally, I don't think I'm going to recommend this to probably hardcore gamers. I don't think people that are really into video games are going to enjoy this game as much as other people that kind of just want to play a relaxing game. So if you want a relaxing experience, go out, buy this. If you want something a little bit more, I guess, engaging, if you're looking for like a stealth type game, don't buy this. That's not what you're going to get. This is just kind of a fun little distraction. With that said, how about we go into spoilers?
Yeah, let's jump right into that.
All right. Do you have any like favorite moments of this game?
I guess it would be like a little marketplace area when the lady tries to chase you off with a broom, where you can actually grab the broom and break it in half. I thought that was pretty cool and pretty interesting, that you can't really hurt people, but in a way, in that instance, you felt like you had some power, like a way to fight back.
I could kind of see that. I think my favorite moments of this game, one of them was also in the market. I love the part where you get the kid to buy his own toy back. I think that that's hilarious. I really like those moments in this game where you can kind of pit people against each other because they don't know that this goose is just Satan incarnate and is running around like planning these different evil things to do to them. Those were the moments that I thought were the funniest. I think that the very end was kind of an interesting moment when you have to run through all of the different places that you've already been and just kind of try not to get caught. I kind of enjoyed those because that sort of brought that sense of being mischievous to the game that I hadn't really felt unless I was doing those times when you were like getting the neighbors to fight with each other or the marketplace. Is there any other moments for you?
I would like to say that final chase, I did like how they did kind of put a little twist on the areas that you've already been through, that the way you've gone through them before isn't necessarily the way you can go through them now to get out, to get back to the beginning. And when you did get the bell, I did really like how you pretty much had to peck apart this model and then pull it down to just have it fall apart just to get the bell. I've always really loved the falling effects and timber effects in games.
Yeah, actually, I really like that part as well, because you just see this goose just like chipping away at this thing and you can tell that it's up to no good. I also like that it brings it back to a whole bunch of bells. I noticed that the people were instantly upset at this goose, like the moment they see it. And for me, I had this suspicion the first time I played it, like this isn't the first time the goose has been here. And those bells really show you that no, this goose does this on the daily. This is like, I don't know.
This is what he does.
Yeah, it's the curse of this neighborhood. And I do find that pretty funny. And I do like that about it. Was there any points that you didn't like?
Just kind of as I stated before, very repetitive. All the objectives felt like they were the same. But I did like how even though all the areas were connected, each individual map was vastly different from the other. So I did like the differences in the areas for sure.
For me, I think the only parts that I really kind of disliked after a while was the collect this many things and put it in a certain area. In the first area, it's a picnic blanket. On the second area, it's like a basket. And on the third area, it's to get this statue to be dressed up. And on the fourth area, it's to set a table. Like you were saying, it's really repetitive to just run and grab these things. It's kind of like a fetch quest in a RPG. Not my favorite thing. I think with just our final thoughts, at the end of the day, I was not really a fan of it.
I wasn't expecting a whole lot. Overall, Untitled Goose Game isn't that bad of a game. If you're wanting on a nice little side quest from your main games, I would say give it a try.
Yeah, I think if this looks interesting to you, if your friends are having fun with it, if you're laughing at it, go out and buy it. If not, I would just skip it.
All right, everyone. This is the Colors of Gaming. I'm Blue.
And I'm Red.
And we'll see you next time.